I'm not sure. Let me make sure I'm live here. I'm not sure what happened, but I got cut off. I don't know if the whole thing is going to play, but I have no idea what has happened. This is the weirdest thing ever. When it came to these particular classes, it seemed like everything was always haywires for this. When it came to like every time, every week, it seemed like there was always something. Okay, so well, anyway, let's continue on. This is this is still week 8, but this is part 2 because I'm looking at this and my part 1 is on here, but for whatever reason, it capped out at 29 minutes and 27 seconds. And so we're just going to continue on. And so I will make sure to edit this video that will reflect that this is part 2 of week 8. But we were wrapping it up and we were talking about here we are at the point where now we get to say, okay, how do I continue on with life lessons? How do I continue to get to self-actualization, right? How do I become more resilient for the world? Because like I was saying before I was cut off, every decade you become, there's some desires that you need. There's things that you need that were not as much of a priority as you know at certain points, right? Like from my understanding, when you start to get really older, time becomes a thing. And I can feel that even at 52, right? Like time with my kids and time with my loved ones, those things are important to me. Especially as I see my elders get older. For me, it's like, okay, I need to spend as much time with them as possible. And I'm sure my kids look at me the same way because to them, I'm getting older and the cycle continues, right? And so time is a thing. Whereas that when you're younger, you feel like you have all the time in the world. You feel like you have all the time in the world, right? Not only that, but when you're younger and you're living at home and you come from a particular type of family, even if you come from a family with not that much, when you're younger, you think money grown trees. But when you older and you start realizing that you got to pay your own bills, when you realize you got to pay your own bills, that's when you say to yourself, you know what? I know money is made out of paper, okay, which paper is made out of wood, okay, but I don't think the two together will make money in my backyard because or in my oven because it ain't the same. So you start understanding, okay, that yes, because I remember my mother telling me that. I'm like, Mama, what a teacher said the money was made out of paper, which is made out of wood, which is made out of the trees. And my mom was like, girl, if you don't get out of here with that. And in my mind, I'm like, so money does grow on trees. So that was my concept. But you best believe once I got up to some age, about 13, 14, 15, and I started trying to get me a little job, a little paper route or whatever, and that money wasn't going as far as I thought it was, consider how much work I was doing. No, it wasn't the same. I was like, you know what? No, no, because see, I got to do a lot to make the kind of money I need. And I knew then I was going to have to turn it up a volume. Okay. I remember my brother and I were talking about this morning. I remember my first job was a paper route. I had a paper route when I was 12 years old. I'll never forget. I was turning 13 that year. So the year had to be like 85 going into 86. Okay. And I remember it was 85 going into 86. And I remember messed around here. And by that time, my little cousins was born. Okay. My little cousins had been born. But before I get to them, I wanted some money. So I got me a paper route. Well, one day it was so damn cold in Detroit that I was like, Mama, um, it's cold outside. I can't throw no papers today. She was like, it was one of them Sunday too. Everybody was in the bed except me. I got to get up and go throw these papers. My mom was like, well, yeah, Shika, you know you're gonna lose your job. You know what? I didn't even care because it was so cold. I was willing to lose my little paper route job because I wasn't going outside in that weather. And y'all already know if y'all ever been to Detroit, Michigan, when I say it's cold, cold, baby, it's cold, cold sometime there. Okay, it's cold, cold. Okay, it gets cold, cold. And back then, as a 12, 13-year-old girl, it was cold, cold to me. All right, my winter coat, mama didn't have that much money. So my winter coat wasn't that thick, and then one pair of boots wasn't that good, and them scarves and them little thin gloves, I wasn't going out there in that hot. Okay, so needless to say, I had to end up getting me some more money later on, right? Which means I had to babysit my little cousins that following summer. But what I learned is that I had to work to make money, no matter what. No matter what. Now, that it was the job different? Yeah. But now I got to deal with these hollering babies because I was babysitting my two cousins and they was babies. They was little babies. They was like one apiece, right? They weren't even one. They was turning one that year because they was born a year before. And then now I'm 13 and I'm at my grandparents' house and I'm babysitting my two little cousins. Rest their souls, both of them have transitioned since. But I'm babysitting them, so I'm looking at this like I don't know if this money worth it because I gotta change their diaper, I gotta feed them, I gotta take them with me everywhere I go, right? I mean, when my aunties gave me my little $200 every week, I was happy for it though. You can believe that. I was happy for it because I did that for about 3, 4 weeks that summer. Baby, I was able to buy all my school clothes. So what that did made me realize that I got to keep working. Why? Because I like buying my school clothes because I got to get me some Levi's. I got me all color Levi's. Okay. I had all colors of the Levi's. Okay. Now my mama told me, now you gonna buy your brother some too. Now I had to buy my brother some. She's like, you're not about to be fresh and you're not gonna buy your little brother none. So I had to buy my brother some Levi's too. But what I did know is that I I had to be able to buy my own Levi's because my mama couldn't afford to buy me no Levi's. So that meant I had to work. So what I was doing with the paper route money was one thing. But once I got them Levi's, because I was making $200 for my auntie and them watching them kids, because with the paper route, I was only making about $40. But with the watching the kids, I was making $100 from each auntie. Baby, I was in the money. Okay, I was in the money. I had $200. $200 every week. All right. I had me some fly school clothes that year. Okay. All right. So that's how you have to look at life. Everything, every decade, every era, you're going to want a little bit more. So because you want a little bit more, how do you prepare yourself? Right? How do you prepare yourself? And that comes from keeping a plan, being accountable, making a ritual, showing up for yourself, being self actualized, doing the things you say you're going to do, and living the purpose. Right? Only you know that. Right? The final week is about anchoring everything you've uncovered, the rituals, routines, and real accountability, not for protection, but for presence. Not for protection, but for presence. You walk in your presence, you walk in your purpose. Ways to anchor your growth. Create a monthly check in ritual. You can do that by journaling, you can do that by vision reviews, by setting goals. This week, I just started the 75 hard, and today makes day number 3. And so typically, I will walk because I will do my second, because my first exercise is done at the gym in the morning. Well, by the time the second, I mean, excuse me, my first exercise, you got to do 2 workouts. By the time I get around to the second one, it's after I've done work in my office, after I've taken everything I've taken care of, and before I go to bed. So I'll go walk. So when I come back, I can go ahead and take a shower and get ready for bed. Well, today I knew I had to do this platform. So because I knew I had to do this platform, I knew that I wasn't going to sit with my normal routine. So I adjusted a little bit and I walked earlier, right? Because I still needed to get it done. But what I'm saying is that I put myself on something because I want to always be progressing. And so, although, for example, this right here is coming to an end, this particular platform is coming to the end because our 8 weeks is up as of today. I also know that I've started something as of 2 days ago because now I have another thing to keep on my plate. It's not that I'm doing stuff to keep myself busy. It's because I always want to be better tomorrow than I am today. Because I understand that my needs and my wants is going to change. And I don't want to be too far behind. I want to always make sure that I'm putting myself first. So for example, I already know that listen, I want to always be presentable. I want to always be whatever. So if I know I need to diet a little bit, I know I need to do whatever, why not do a new challenge? Right? It gives me a focus because I know that as we get into the summer months and we go into the next season, that's when we all start to slack off a little bit. So the 75 hard will give me an opportunity to right in the middle, right when we get in the swing of things, school start back up, I'll be coming to an end of it. And then that way, right? Then that way I can give myself another challenge because then the next thing will begin, right? And so it's just me pushing myself forward. Why? Because every day I want to be better than I was the day before. And that's what being self actualized is about. Recognizing that you can always be better and always doing better. Why? Because we are meant to be here to solve problems. No one goes in this world, right, without being a problem solver or enduring some type of problems. When you are a self actualized person, you understand that there is a gap in certain things. There is a need for certain things. And therefore, if you do what you need to do in order to fill in that gap and that need, if you see there's a need and a gap for maybe your family, maybe generations, whatever, how do you make that? How do you protect that? How do you change that? Right? How do you give a solution to that gap or to that problem, however you want to look at it? Because all the thing it is that a problem is just something that haven't been solved yet. It's not a problem. To a millionaire, a doggone $1,000 phone bill is not a problem, right? Only to somebody that don't have it, it's a problem, right? Because why? Money's not a problem. So if that's an issue, right? How do you change that? By giving resolutions to the problems. Because when you're self-actualized, that's what you one of the things that you do. You are a problem solver because you already know that there's problems that need to be solved. And you're okay with sharing your experience. Is it going to be perfect? No, but you share your experience. Other ways you can anchor your growth. Choose a daily or weekly affirmation to stay rooted in. You have to. You have to. There's an old saying that if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything. And so, again, when you think about the things that you're told, when you think about whatever it is that you follow, or whatever it is you do, whatever it is that you think, or whatever, right? Why do you believe those things? Okay. Why do you believe those things? And if you believe something different, what would that do? Right. And when you do find out whatever that mantra is you need to tell yourself, do it every day, say it every day, give yourself any type of daily, listen, hourly, however you need to do it. Don't ever talk to yourself negative. You always give yourself positive affirmations, but you do it and you keep it constant. Surround yourself with partners that will keep you accountable and challenge you. I tell my friends all the time, if you want somebody that's going to sit back and let you be lackluster, then I'm not the friend for you. And I promise you, my friends will tell you that I'm like this. I'm not the friend for you. Now, are we gonna cry together? You doggone right. If there's a problem, yep, we gonna cry together. But you got about 40 days and 40 nights to get it together. Because if he can destroy this whole planet in 40 days and 40 nights and rebuild it, we're not about to cry alone in that. So we got to get up. Why? Because now I ain't saying that once you get up, you can't fall back down and cry again. Because after you get up and do what you got to do from 9 to 5, by the time 6 o'clock come, hey, cry for an hour if you need to. Drink a whole bottle of wine if you need to. Right? Call me, cuss the walls. We can even go to the smash rooms and smash things up. Do whatever you got to do. But at the end of the day, you got to get up. So I tell my friends all the time, if you want a friend that's gonna let you do whatever and let you be half-assed and make excuses, you still tell me about stuff that happened 5 years ago with somebody you dated for 4 years? No, I'm not listening to that. I'm not listening to that. I'm not that friend. I'm not about to sit there and listen to you tell me about that. You still in the rut from a relationship that happened 5 years ago and y'all weren't even together that long. I'm not that friend. And then another way, make sure you get reflect, rest, and reset regularly. Listen, when you got to take a knee, take a knee. In the Army, we tell people all the time, take a knee, drink water. That's it. Take a knee, drink water. Other words, when you take a knee and drink water, ain't nobody got nothing to say to you. You listen. I need to replenish. Give me a second. I need rest and replenishment. And so if that's what you got to do, you do it, and you don't feel guilty about it at all. Because, like I've said before, you can only feed people from your overflow, not from your cup. So if you are feeding people from your overflow, you got to fill your cup up through the overflow. Because, yeah, do people do things? Yeah. But for the most part, you're responsible for you. Because people got to fill their own cups up. People got to fill their own cups up. Now are you if you blessed enough to have a significant other that takes care of responsibilities? Hey, good for you. Blessings. But at the end of the day, you still are responsible for filling your cup up. Because what happens if that person is not there? A person is supposed to add to you, but you're supposed to already be whole without another person. And that includes being able to rest when you need to, reset when you need to, and reflect and do it as much as you need to. Because I get my rest regularly. I can't sleep worth a darn. But when it comes to meditating, baby, I meditate. Baby, I meditate so much until I don't be sleep, but I be meditating. Now, why celebration matters? Because when you do all of this, we need to celebrate. That's why week 8 is called Celebration and Commitment. Showing up for your future self. So we're going to celebrate the promise that you make right now. The reason why we celebrate, because it reinforces progress and builds emotional momentum. So you celebrate yourself no matter what. You celebrate yourself for all the wins. I got a YouTube channel that I started back in April. And it got up to 100 subscribers. Now, to YouTubers that are really YouTubers, 100 subscribers ain't nothing. But to me, oh baby, it was everything. Baby, it was everything. You hear me? Because when I tell you that I pretty much felt like I knocked on every person's door to subscribe, I felt like I showed up to everybody's house. Hi, can I talk to you for a minute? Let me tell you what I have to offer. Because to get a person to subscribe to your YouTube channel is like pulling teeth. You think you're asking for their firstborn, right? But that's how it works. And so for me, I was very happy about them 100 people. And every time I get a number, I do a little jig. I promise you. I'm like this. I got to do a jig because I know that every person I know I knocked on their door. Because I do something every day for that channel on all platforms. I have well over 100 subscribers. I have well over 1,000 subscribers. And on YouTube, that's all you need to be monetized. You need the hours and you need the subscribers, right? I got well over 1,000 subscribers and friends and family amongst my platforms, but you best believe it's hard to get 1,000 followers on YouTube. So I celebrate my wins because I know the work that I'm putting in. Okay. Now, when it don't reflect what I wanted to, I ask myself, well, Yashika, you didn't do this. Did you post today? Girl, you only posted once yesterday. That's why. That's why. See, I know I did everything I was supposed to do. So I can only fault myself, right? Because there's always more to be done, right? But you celebrate the wins always. And celebrating also reminds your nervous system that growth is safe. You're supposed to be able to celebrate, right? Because people be like, well, 100 people ain't nothing on YouTube. You must have never had a YouTube channel. A person that says to you 100 people ain't nothing on YouTube, you tell them, well, let me see you do it, okay? Because 100 people on YouTube, baby, baby, okay? I know for a fact that I didn't have 4 YouTube channels and I ain't never got 100 people in about 2 months, okay? Never. It always was blood, sweat, and tears before I got 100 people in any of them, if they even made it to 100 people before I changed to something else. Okay. So what I'm saying to you is celebration. Listen, celebrate everything because then that listen, you celebrate your achievement. We don't care about them people that they got millions and millions of followers. We don't care about them because they started from this place too. They had to start from zero as well. They didn't show up with already 1,000 subscribers. They started from zero. As soon as they clocked their name, bam, they was on zero. Now, I don't care if a second later they got a subscriber, they still started from zero. And so you have to celebrate that so they understand as well. Okay. And then it becomes a sacred reminder. I showed up for me. This is why we celebrate. I showed up for me. Even me doing this course right here every week, I showed up. Why? Because I know that this is needed. Regardless of what comes after this, I know that this is needed. I know that this is very much needed, right? In terms of self-actualization, in terms of life lessons. And trust me, there's more, okay? But I know that it's needed because it's a place to start. They always say if you're not going to be part of the solution, then you are part of the problem. And so for me, there was nothing. I came from a 16-year-old mother. My mother was 16 when she had me. My father was 20. They were married, but they were never a couple. All right. They had what you call a shotgun wedding back in 73, 2 months before I was born. Okay. So when it came to, for me, a lot of things that I went through and learned, I literally had to learn on my own. There wasn't no Google. There wasn't no YouTube. Now, I'm not saying I had to go and find out like did I learn it just and I went out and experienced it? No, it wasn't just me experiencing it. It was also me listening to other people because I take other people's stories and I learn from them. I take other people's examples and I learn from them. If I know that doing this way is gonna land me here, then I better not do it. And if I do it, then I better understand that everything you do has a consequence. Just like I said with Will Smith, no matter how good you are, everything you do has a consequence. So you have to be okay with that, right? You have to be okay with that. And so sometimes do we look at life and say, okay, the gain is more than the loss? Yeah, sometimes we do look at life like that, depending on what you're shooting for, right? But you better make sure it's something you can live with long term, okay? Because if not, that's why it's important to just do things all the right way. Then that way you ain't never got to look over your shoulder. And you do that by living the life that you're meant to live. You live it honestly, you live it ethically by your terms, not nobody else's, by the universe terms, right? Right? Because there's different books, but they all still say the same thing at the end of the day. No matter what you believe, at some point it's all some of the same stuff. Okay, you can't go out here and do these things and hope good in return. You can't go out here and do this and expect that you're going to be a millionaire, or not do this and expect that you're going to wait and they work up and this is going to be your life. No, you got to put in the work. Hard work is hard work no matter what you do. No matter how you categorize hard work, is hard work. Okay? In order for you to get to where you are. In order for you to be self-actualized, you have to put in the work. Okay? Life lessons is about always learning lessons. Always being okay with understanding that there is no one way to do anything. And if anybody has ever read my book, The Realization of Irrelevance, Finding You After the Military, that I wrote when I retired from the military, I tell everyone a soldier lives three lives: the life that we were before we became soldiers, the life that we were as a soldier, and this post military life, right? That's three lives. And so, in hindsight, that's three ways in which you can do things because you're still the same person, right? You're still the same person, right? Before I joined the military, I hear the national anthem. It's like, okay, that's the national anthem. While I'm in the military, of course, I'm going to make sure I salute, I do all the things. Now that I'm a civilian, I'm judging people who's not, and I'm looking at who's was veterans and who wasn't. Okay? It's different because now I'm looking at it. Hey, so y'all just ain't gonna do it, huh? So y'all just ain't gonna do it. So you ain't never watched the movie or nothing where when the what you call it, come on, everybody stand up. Like, you ain't never seen a baseball game on TV. You ain't never seen none of that. So you gonna act like it's okay for you to stay sitting down, and you gonna act like it's okay for you to be on your phone. Like, you gonna act like that? Okay, well, you know what? Go ahead on, rock on, rock on, rock on, rock on, rock on, right? But those are people who are making their own rules in life. That's it. They have their own rules, right? And so, and I'm not saying because of the Pledge of Allegiance. All I'm saying is that when I look at things like that, that's how I look at it. Because why? I see it from three different ways now. As a kid, I didn't think anything of it because I hadn't lived long enough to really understand the importance of the Pledge of Allegiance, like, or excuse me, the whatever I'm talking about. I hadn't lived long enough, right? But when I became an adult and now I'm in the military, of course now, okay, when you hear it, you stand up. When you hear it, you salute, whatever, right? Right? So that's one of those things where I'm saying that when it comes to where we are in our lives, we always live three lives. There's three lives in which you live, or three ways in which you do something. Understand it's three ways. You got three options. Now we can move this thing around. And I hear kids say, well, what if this happened? Listen, we can if this thing all doggone day long. Okay. I don't care. People say, well, even a chessboard, you move one piece of a chessboard, it's a different board. Okay. Okay. So what? If you move all the pieces of the board, it don't matter. But we're gonna just move three different pieces. Now you can either do it this way, that way, or this way, right? And the way I look at judgment, or the way I look at how you do things, look at the way our lights are at a stoplight, right? You got a green light, a yellow light, and a red light. So that's the three ways in which you look at life. You can look at the way and say, okay, this is the way I go. This is the way I go. This is the way the universe say I'm supposed to go. Why? Because this is the most morally route that I'm supposed to take, right? And just think about it. I'm not talking about the most extreme, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Or you say, okay, yellow, I wasn't perfect, but I did okay. Okay, that red light, we already know where the red light gets you. The red light gets you over here. So if you already know that you've seen people take the red light and know that when they run it, they're going to get a ticket, but they do it anyway, why would you turn around and take that red light? You don't think you're going to be the one that's going to, better yet, cause another accident? Just because somebody else did and they may got away with it, they didn't get a ticket or they didn't cause another accident, but you seen two other people do it. But you say, well, you know what? I can do it better because what I'm going to do, I'm going to let up on the gas real good. And because I'm going to swoop it down like that, it's not going to even matter. No, you're going to still get caught just like that person. Or better yet, you're going to have an accident just like that person. So if you already know this is going to happen, why not wait on the green light? Why not wait on the way that you know? Or why not wait? Because here's the thing, it's coming. You know the green light is coming. You already know it's in rotation. Why? Because you've been doing what you're supposed to do. You know the rules. You just studied the book. You took the test. They tell you unless the lights is out or there was a thunderstorm, you know the green light gonna come back around. So why would you risk it by running the red light? Right? Because you already was warned when you barely went through that green light and it turned yellow. It was like, oh, that was close. Don't do it again. You got away that time. Don't do it again. Now here you is coming up on another yellow light. You gonna slam it again, slam on your press on the accelerator again? No, slow your tail down. Go and stop for that one. You got away with the other one. You got away with the other yellow light. It didn't turn red. This time you ain't got enough time. Don't you press on the accelerator. Okay, because then you might not make it this time. And then somebody else may be doing the same thing. And guess what? Now there's an accident. But if you had to just wait until your time come around again. Do the work. You know what the book said. It's gonna come back around, right? Do how bad you want it. You're gonna get there. That 1 minute you waited for the light to turn back green, right? That 1 minute, if you late, you was already late, honey. If you late, you was already late. But now you're gonna show up on time dead? No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. Now, consistency versus hustle. You need to know the difference. Consistency is rooted in your self-respect. You're consistently showing up for you. Why? Because it aligns with what you say you are supposed to do. You're consistent. I get up every day and go to the gym. Why? Because me, for myself, for me to be okay, I have to work out. It don't have nothing to do with me trying to be fine for no man. It don't have nothing to do with me trying to get in no dress. I already know if I don't work out, it clogs up a lot of things in here because then it start making me pick out other things that's wrong or I feel that's wrong with me. So I have to be consistent in how I show up for me. And that includes me working out on a consistent basis. That includes me doing things for me consistently, right? Not waiting on anybody else, but doing it for me. I have to be consistent in it, right? Right. And that's how you know the difference between that and hustling. Because see, hustling is I just need to get in a dress. No, you got to be inconsistent. In order for me to maintain what I need to maintain, I have to be consistent. Hustle is rooted in fear of falling behind. Think about that. Well, I don't. I need to keep doing this because I don't. No, no, no. If you consistently work out, you ain't got to worry about what. Dang, I went to the beach and listen. I went out, hung out with my friends this weekend, and I know I didn't gain 5 pounds. If you consistently work out, you already know them 5 pounds ain't gonna do nothing, or better yet, they're not even gonna show up. You might be bloated for a day or two, but if you consistently doing what you're supposed to do, and you consistently working out, and you consistently eating right, you already know them 5 pounds ain't gonna stay around just because you splurge one day. One day is not gonna kill the routine. But if you lying to yourself about being consistent, you saying, well, I wasn't really consistent this week. I mean, okay, because it was the 4th of July, so I missed 3 days. Okay. I mean, I did miss 3 days because it was the 4th of July last week. Come on, that's okay. So if I gained 5 pounds, let's tell the whole truth, not the part we want to pick up from. Okay. The difference between hustle and consistency. That's it. And I know that's a small example, but it's definitely an example. So as we wrap up week 8, what is it that you believe that you've gotten from this course, if anything at all? Right? If anything at all. And I know for me, like I said, I can go on and on and on. And I know that this course will be redone. There's a lot of things that I do want to implement that was not included this time. But for the most part, though, this has been this has been amazing. I actually love it because this was an opportunity for me to speak to a different set of adults that I wouldn't typically talk with, right? The younger generation, right? As opposed to more my generation, because I know that this is something that is really, really needed. It is so needed. And so if you have been rocking with me for these 18 weeks, then by all means, these 8 weeks, by all means, I appreciate you. You'll be getting your certificate if you have turned in all assignments and things like that. You will be getting your certificate in the mail within the next 48 hours. And my email will remain the same. So if you need to contact me, do so. And if you are stopping through as a visitor and you are not part of the HillmanTok University students, then I hope that you can join me on the next semester for this particular class, because I will do this one again. It will be rebooted, but these videos will stay up for future references, right? And so this has been great. I enjoyed myself so much. And listen, let me know what you think. Be sure to leave a review. Let me know what you think and all the things. And again, you can get in touch with me with my email connected. Or if you are ready to move forward, you can set up an appointment, and you can do that by contacting me through DM or through email, and I will send you a link to do so. If that's not something you want, then I understand. But anyway, Don't forget to subscribe because I do put out a lot of content on a weekly basis. And I know it's something that you can gain something from, get some information. And if it's not for you, send somebody my way who might need what I offer as a self actualization and life strategist. And again, I am Coach Yashika, and you are watching Hood Parenting. And then I will see you guys next time. Bye.